Today we'll be taking a look at the Corsair Carbide Series Air 240 Mini ITX or Micro ATX computer case. Let's do a quick overview of the specs before we get to the actual unboxing and subjective review of it. As far as cooling goes, it comes included with 320mm fans, 2 mounted on the front for intake, 1 mounted on top for exhaust. There is room for one 240mm radiator on the top, only if you're running a Micro ATX, and it can support an additional 240mm radiator on the bottom if you're running a Mini ITX build. There are a total of 9 fan mounts included, some of which are for 80mm fans. It supports a maximum CPU cooler height of 120mm. As far as space for hardware goes, it has 3 3.5-inch drive bays, and 3 2.5-inch drive bays, all of which are toolless for easy installation. It has 4 PCIe expansion slots with a maximum card length of 290mm. This is big enough to support all NVIDIA reference cards as long as they don't have any larger aftermarket coolers on them. It supports an ATX power supply up to 200mm long. And lastly, for the front input-output, we have 2 USB 3.0 ports, a power button, and a reset button. Okay, now we're going to take a look at the side of this. It's got a nice clear panel, so you can admire everything you put into this after you're finished. To take it off, it's just 2 little thumb screws that stay attached, so there's no chance of losing those. And the panel just pops right off. Now, on the inside you can see we have our fan on the top, 2 on the front, cord for our USB 3.0s and audio connectors. Motherboard would go right here. All the cables go through the back, so you don't have to see all that. At a first glance, we were a little concerned that the CPU cooler cutout was not as big as we would hope. It appears to be just this little opening right here, and that did concern us for a little while. But
it's not in the right spot.
It's not in the right spot. It seems to be covered up here, but we'll get to that in just a minute. Now, back to the issue of the CPU cooling cutout not being big enough for certain coolers. We figured out that this is removable, but for a while we couldn't quite figure out how to do that because it was just, all we could see was just this one thumb screw here, and it still seems stuck in place. But after a little bit of messing around with stuff, we realized on the back you have this panel that covers up the drive bays. You have to take this thumb screw out, that stays, pull this off, and you have this, and you just pull it out. And then you have access to all of this. Okay, now taking a look at the other side. Once again, just one little side panel with 2 thumb screws that also stay attached. And it just pops off like the other one. Oh, one thing to mention though is that it has a nice magnetic filter right here. This pops right off relatively easily. Well, yeah. Now taking a look at the inside of the other side of this case. This is where your power supply would go. It's got some 4 little rubber feet to keep it securely in place. Get a good shot of that. Here is the 3 bays for your 2.5-inch drives. Over here is your 3.5-inch bays for your hard drives. These are the cables for the front connectors. So, after just taking this off, we would mount the motherboard, put the CPU cooler, and then just replace this back to where it was. It goes back in just as easily as it came out. You just have to pop it back in, get the little thumb screw, and then put the other panel back on. And there you go. And lastly, let's take a look at what the top looks like. For that, take out these 2 thumb screws that, as you can see, they are not attached, so just be careful of that. But the top panel pops off just as easily as the other 2 side panels. Now, up here you can get a better look at the fan. It appears to have 2 more spots for fans. One right here, and then one that's a bit smaller. I'm not quite sure what we could fit there, but we can figure something out.
Also, that's where you mount your 240mm radiator.
That's where we would put that. Over here we have our 2.5-inch drive bays. There, just pop out the top like this. This cage is also removable, but we're not going to do that right now.
All right, so this has been the view of the companion, the Corsair Carbide Air 240.
Yeah. So in conclusion, this is just first impressions right out of the box. All in all, I like it. It is a nice size, good for LAN parties. There are a few design choices we were not too sure why were implemented in this, but all in all, it's still a nice case, and I will be using it in my own build. That, you know, there will be a video of that coming out very soon, just as soon as I can get one last part for this.
Yeah, the 970s.
High demand right now. It's hard to get one. But as soon as I do, we will be doing a video of a full and complete build for you guys to see. And for any of you that are perhaps interested in building your own, it'll be a nice little tutorial walkthrough. And with that,
yeah,
does this get the Deadbeat Dev seal of approval?
I'd say so. We're gonna see more about it when we actually build and get a better idea for what it's actually like to use. You know, that's kind of the important bit, is how easy it is to build in, and you know, we'll talk more about it during that video. But as of right now, I see nothing too wrong with it. I like it.
It's a nice size. It does in fact look like the companion cube. I might want to put a sticker or something on it just to show that it is nice.
There will be a heart on this.
Even just because it's just really nice.
Yeah, it's a good little guy. Yeah, little case. Definitely get it in white. Black is everyone has a black computer case.
It's too bland.
Yeah,
it does look great in white. And it's got a nice contrast, because if it was in black, it would just be black on black. But you know.
Yeah. Anyway.
So anyway, that is it for our review of the Corsair Carbide Series Air 240.
Devs signing off.